Dr. Christina Chester, and welcome again to our MCPS video series, Waymaking. Our goal is to help families make their way through many of the emotional challenges we are faced with today. I have with me today Marc Cohen, principal at Seneca Valley High School, and Phil Moise, leader of the Seneca Valley Dads on Duty group. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning. Thanks for having us. All
right, so for today, we are discussing the Dads on Duty initiative in our schools. For our first question, can you share with our audience, what is Dads on Duty?
Dads on Duty originated from a concept from a group of dads from Louisiana that got together as a result of some violence that were going on in their school. So early in the year, it wasn't as bad at Seneca Valley, but we noticed that there was a negative narrative being painted around our school. And so it was started really with a bunch of community members, including parents, that felt like something needed to be done to change the narrative. And so that was the originations of it.
Oh, great. And so then with my next question is, so why Dads on Duty? And so why not families on duty? And how does Dads on Duty support the student, staff, and families in the school? So then plus, who can participate in Dads on Duty at the school?
Sure. Hey, Phil, let me start with that one. So first, let me add that we are incredibly grateful for our partnerships, for all the partnerships that we have at our school. The beginning of this school year was very difficult for many, our students and our staff. The only real daily socialization they had came from behind a screen. And then when they came back to school, they were faced with the reality of being surrounded by a world that they had lost touch with in many ways. And we dealt with the ramifications of that. We have wonderful volunteers at Seneca Valley High School. In fact, our PTSA and our booster organization, our African American Parent Council, they do great things every day for our students. And most of the members, not all, but most of the members of those groups are the moms in our community. Our moms are fantastic. But one of the things that was really missing and that we thought would add significant value to the specific work that we were looking to do was the presence of our dads. And as Phil said, we learned a lesson from the Dads on Duty in Shreveport, Louisiana, and the impact that these dads could have. I think it's important to note that the National PTA many years ago conducted a study, and they found that the number one reason that dads were not necessarily the same kind of daily presence in schools as moms are was not because they didn't care, it was because nobody asked. And so we took the time in a moment of great need to ask. And I'm very grateful to Phil and to the other dads who have given their time and their hearts to our kids, because they've truly made a difference. Phil, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I think you pretty much covered it. I think many dads, speaking for myself as well, have significant other that are participating and involving where necessary us. But, obviously, in addition, we did see, as I mentioned, a need for just a presence that we felt that we can do even more. And so it was really brainstorming and thinking of, because this wasn't the only idea. There were other suggestions as well. But this one was the one that came up that was more impactful, we felt, and would resonate with students. And so it would put us in a vulnerable position, but we were willing to do that. So, and I think, the feedback, at least that we've heard from our students, I think that it's made a difference.
Yeah, I think maybe, Christina, I want to be clear also, our dads are so much more than just being present, right? They're not security guards, they're not police. In fact, we ask them not to engage with students who are doing things that might be violating significant rules of the school. They're there for the kids. And so it's a regular occurrence where we see the dads interacting, laughing, shooting basketballs, really just getting to know the kids. The kids are now expecting our dads to be there, and they're going to them to share their grades or to share the celebrations that they have. They've very quickly developed strong and significant relationships. And I think it's something that has made a significant difference as a result.
Oh, and thank you both for that information about the program. I mean, it really is wonderful to hear of such an initiative and just the mentoring that's going on. I mean, as we know with our Be Well 365 initiative, that culture responsive relationship building is one of our key tenets, and having the dads on campus to be able to help and support that is awesome. And so it was really excited to hear about that at Seneca Valley. And so then my next question, so you shared all this wonderful information about dads on duty. So then let's say if a school is interested in developing their own dads on duty initiative, so what do they need to do to get started?
I think it starts with having a great relationship between parents and the school itself, right? So in our case, the administrator, our principal, opened up the door for that type of relationship, you could say, or cooperation. It starts there, and then having a person that's willing to step up to herd the sheep, you could say, making sure that you can coordinate and facilitate it. And so I think those are the two pillars. I'm sure Dr. Cohen has some other components to it as well.
Sure. So I think the most important piece to this, Christina, is trust. And it can't come from the administration. I mean, I do think that we've got a wonderful partnership with our dads on duty, but the reason our program has been so successful and has been receiving so much attention is because it's grown organically from our dads. Our dads know our community. Our dads know our kids. Phil and others, they've been watching our kids grow up since they were babies, and we have to, as a school, show them the respect and the trust to be that positive presence. Now, from an organizational perspective, there are some steps that need to be taken. We had Phil and I had significant conversations ahead of time as we planned. We met with dads who showed interest. We helped our dads through volunteer training. There is a basic volunteer training that all of our dads have to go through that provides them information about how schools run and what to do if, just as an example, if they happen to see evidence of child abuse and neglect, just as an example. So we do train our dads in those areas. And then we also talk with them, we onboard them a bit about what to expect. I think our dads come in nervous the first day or two. They're excited after that. They fall over themselves to come back, but they're nervous the first couple of days. And so Phil often pairs them up with more experienced dads in the beginning, just so they can feel more comfortable. And we really just we take advantage of the trusting relationship that we've developed to allow ourselves to be agile enough to meet the changing needs of our kids.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is as Marc mentioned, many parents haven't gone into in high school, at least for us, decades, right? Other than, in supportive games or in that manner. And so to be in the school, there was a little bit of angst in the beginning to say, what is it and how is it going to go? But as you go, the spirit of why you're supporting is really for the kids, and that really takes over, right? And so, and it's natural because the kids are not accustomed to seeing the parent in that manner also, right? So the angst is on both ends, right? But then as we're progressing, because that's why I mentioned community members as well. They may have parents and grandparents that had kids that already graduated that still want to participate because they understand and believe in the concept, right? So I just wanted to throw that in, it does alleviate in the beginning, after you're in, and it actually becomes a rewarding experience. So it's not just for the kids too. Almost every dad afterwards, it's like, yeah, we had a good day today, and we were only there an hour, or so. So, so I just wanted to mention that as well.
Yeah, I think one last thing, Christina, is to say that it was important to us that our dads look like our students. Representation matters, and so we have made a point of ensuring that we've got African American, Hispanic, our white, our Caucasian parents. We've got members of our community. A couple of our pastor partners come in. We have people who our students see in the community, see in the grocery store, and it's important to us that these wonderful men also present by their presence a role model for what our kids' futures might look like.
No, and I really want to, I'm really excited to hear about all this. I mean, you remind me of how when we talk about it takes a village. And it really does. When we sit there and talk about the impact that you all are having on the mental health of our students and having that presence there, building those relationships with students is just a phenomenal experience for them and for your dads who are there supporting them. And the fact that not only they see them at school, but see them in the community as these trusted individuals that are there to support them is truly great. And so for my last question for you today, so do you have any suggestions or feedback for families and students to help them to stay resilient during this time?
I can go first on this one. I think, as Marc opened in the beginning, it was in the beginning, a lot of kids haven't been in school because of the pandemic for the last 2 years, right? So it's been a lot of adjusting to the new times, right? And so one thing that I would say that we use in our household is really being active and doing things to keep your mind and your soul active. And that could be family walks, that could be different things that you do individually or collectively, and praying. I think is a big thing as well, right? Because you can't do it on your own. So those are my 2 suggestions.
Yeah, and for me, it's hard to say anything good happened from the pandemic, but I think one of the things that I missed the most about our shutdown was mid-afternoon hot lunches with my family. It was taking time to really just enjoy the quiet times with each other, to share our passions, and so I guess the best advice I can give is to take a breath. So many of our students and even our staff members appear to be in this rush right now to catch up on the time that was missed. I've got to do. I don't have time. I'm behind. And we are behind in many ways, but we're not going to catch up by working ourselves into the ground. And so the best advice I can offer in this context is to take a breath and to take time for those things that are, pardon me, that are most important to each of you individually.
Oh, and thank you both for your suggestions. And so as we close, I want to thank you both, Marc and Phil, for your time to be with us today. And if anyone is interested in starting a Dads on Duty group at your school, please contact Stephanie Izzard for additional information. And as always, we want to thank our viewers for joining us for Waymaking. To send us additional questions and topics to discuss on the show, please visit the link on your screen. Also, please go to our YouTube playlist to find additional shows in our series. And please join us next time on MCPS Waymaking.